Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and I literally just finished editing the video you all are about to watch. Interview with Tampa Bay Buccaneers linebacker Grant Steward. Grant is an awesome guy. Much like everybody we've interviewed on the channel here, he's a bro, he's a friend of the channel. But to take it a step further, Grant has seen few of the videos here on the channel. He has seen some of the content that I've made here on this channel. That means the world to me, and it's not possible without all of you guys. So thank you so much to the community here for making all of this possible. It is seriously just mind-boggling to me, and I'm so thankful. I cannot stress that enough. But I also don't know if you guys didn't know this or not. Grant has a YouTube channel. Go subscribe to him. I will have it linked down in the pinned comment in the comment section below, as well as on the community tab when this interview is up. He is putting out some awesome content, giving more insight into his journey into the NFL. It's wonderful, wonderful stuff. Go subscribe to him. Go follow him on social media. Grant's an awesome dude, and I hope you guys all enjoy this interview. Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we are talking to Tampa Bay Buccaneers linebacker, new 7th round draft pick of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, by the way, and friend of the channel, it's Grant Steward. Grant, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing great, man.
We just had a quick conversation here before we started. You're a legitimate friend of the channel. You watch some of the videos here, man. So
yes,
I'm saying we're officially bros here. It is it is what it is, man.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you here. Being on the channel, man. Come and take some time to talk with me. I alluded to it with everybody here watching the channel. I said, hey, somebody should interview that Grant Steward guy. Look, we already had this in the works. We had this planned out. I'm just saying, we were already here ready to go. But, Grant, let's get started here talking about some of these questions that I have for you. So, you were Mr. Irrelevant, right? That's a stigma that's surrounded that name. There's always a stigma being Mr. Irrelevant in the NFL draft. What does it mean to, I guess, to have that nickname, for better or for worse now, coming into the NFL and working to break that stigma and that stereotype that surrounds being the last pick in the NFL draft?
Well, I wasn't really aware of, I guess oddly enough, the relevance of the title. Mm-hmm. I wasn't aware of really truly what it meant. I believe Trey Quinn, I think that's his name. Mm-hmm. We played him at SMU, and I remember him tweeting something about it when he got drafted, and I wasn't really sure what it meant. But yeah, I had really no clue what they were talking about. I was just excited to be, drafted. I was really kind of upset at first because I was so eager to see my name on the screen. Right. And so when the GM and the head coach gave me a call, they had told me, we're going to get you right here with this last pick. And I could hear this in the genuineness of what they were saying. But there have been a few teams that I had the same conversation with, and then I saw a name on the screen that wasn't mine. So I was kind of happy, but I'm okay, nah, I'm finna see what the name is on the screen. Right. And so it was this whole thing. This lady came out, and there's this whole thing, and then she said that, and some of my family members was what is she talking about? But yeah, man. To be honest, when I step onto the field, and I'm with the group, I don't feel like nobody's even brought that up. It's not really something I remember, to be honest with you, until I talk to somebody or somebody asks me a question like this. It's not really something I even think about. But there's been a lot of positivity that's come with it. It's allowed me to be able to share my story with some people. It's allowed me to get some marketing opportunities and stuff too. So and I know the GM is excited about me from everything I've heard him say. So hopefully I can give them a reason for making me that pick, or picking me at all, so.
Yeah, it's obviously a weird NFL like a promo thing almost, right? Where it's oh man, Mr. Relevant, last pick in the draft, man. It's it's a weird thing, at the end of the day. it's like a weird negative thing, but I mean, yeah, exactly like what you said. It's like just taking that momentum of getting picked and just saying, hey, let's go. I'm not even thinking about that. I don't know if you know this, Grant, but on the team, there's actually another Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah.
Ryan Suckup. So have you gotten a chance to reach out to him and kind of say, hey, we're kind of, kindred spirits here, man. We're kind of like brothers in arms kind of thing.
Yeah. He actually, the day of the draft, I believe he commented on a post of mine or a post of the Buccaneers when they drafted me. So I gave him a follow and stuff. And whenever I change inside the facility, I change next to his locker. His locker's kind of cool, but no, I haven't really talked to that many vets at all, honestly. But yeah, I'm excited about just working with him, especially in the kicking game and the special teams game, and see what value I can get from him. And he obviously was successful, even though he was a later round draft pick. So I mean, there's so many people in that building that I'm so eager just to, start learning from. I just don't want to be that annoying guy who's going up to somebody when they're getting changed with a notepad,
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. But I mean, so are your guys' lockers permanently next to each other then for probably this upcoming season?
No. So, right now, we kind of have, there's COVID still a thing. And so there's a vet locker room, and then there's kind of because there's 53 rostered and there's the 90 man. So we got a lot of stuff going on, but right now, I don't think any of our lockers are necessarily permanent as of right now.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. That's still cool though, to make that connection, be right next to him and say, hey, hey, we're both, we're in the same boat, we're here, Yeah. So you've already gotten some reps, right, in the NFL with rookie minicamp. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And now with OTAs underway as well. How have those experiences been, learning, growing, the environment, comparing the college environment to the NFL environment? You just talked about it a little bit, just, being around some vets, soaking up as much info as you can. How has it been, comparing those two environments compared to one another in terms of practices and things along those lines?
If I'm being real, coming from Houston, I played against, I played with first round draft picks. I played against first round draft picks. I've played against, superior interior and exterior linemen. You know what I'm saying? So I've had my taste of the best of the best. I feel like playing at Houston, going to the Senior Bowl. So honestly, when I arrived at rookie minicamp, it wasn't much different from what I'm used to, just because I'm a type of guy who I over prepare, I over learn. I want to know what the safeties do, what the corners do, what the defensive linemen do. I figure all that out on my own. As soon as they gave me the playbook, I learned it in a day. So for me, it was even just being that type of person, I have a leg up in this type of environment. I thrive in hey, you got to learn this pretty fast. I thrive in that type of environment, So rookie minicamp in itself was I really just kind of tried to lead and bring guys with me as far as understanding what everybody had to do and, executing our assignment and just running to the ball, So
yeah, I feel you. And that's actually another interesting thing is, in terms of, reports and things already coming out, a ton of praise. And I think it's all warranted, here on the YouTube channel, a lot of the Buccaneers media sites, even the Buccaneers website themselves, they've been saying hey, the leadership from Grant Steward right now and just the overall vocal characteristics that he's displaying right now in rookie minicamp and even in OTAs now has been awesome to see. Talk about what it means going into a situation. What does it mean going into a situation like that with guys you've never worked with before and saying, hey, I'm going to be a leader among these guys. Let's go. Let's get into this.
Yeah. So, I mean, the type of person I am, I'm not going to just insert myself as a leader. I don't necessarily believe in that. I kind of, want to earn my stripes and be somebody who, if there's anything that I have to say to you, I'm backing it up with my actions.
Right.
You know, I don't try to say anything that's unnecessary. I don't try to do a whole bunch of rah-rah. I just feel like I lead when leading is needed, you know. And so, you know, being in rookie minicamp, first day of practice or something, we got a lot of calls, a lot of complex calls. Luckily, I come from a defense where a lot was put on my plate, and we had a lot of rotations and calls, and that whole coaching staff worked with me in college to be the vocal leader on that defense. So I was prepared for, you know, that type of stuff. But, you know, some guys, maybe somebody was questioning, do I rotate here or is this or that? And, you know, just I have that ability, just preparing myself, you know, waking up at 5 a.m, getting in that playbook to where, not because I want to stand out or something, but because I want to make sure that we succeed as a defense. And I know that that's one of my strengths, you know, is mental preparation and knowing what to do on the field and anticipating offensive scheme. So I just wanted to help the team with that, you know, and so figuring out that being in a rookie minicamp, that's probably the best place I can lead is in preparation, because everybody's running to the ball. Everybody's giving max efforts. Everybody wants a job. It's not like college where they know next year they'll be on the same team. Right. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel you. And, you know, also, it's been reported, like, you have not been coming off the field. You've just been playing, like, absolutely every play you can, man. I mean, you're used to the heat, obviously, being from Houston. So how's it been with some of the other guys, just kind of, you know, getting them along and saying, hey, you know, come on, we got, you know, dealing with the heat and whatnot?
Yeah, honestly, you know, when it comes to my conditioning and all that type of stuff, that's another one of my strengths. But being that me and KJ have literally no backup, and everybody else has a backup but me and KJ. So I'm really not the guy that's like telling nobody like, get up, like, because I'll be the guy like that's tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it just, you know, what I've enjoyed is just my teammates' understanding of me and KJ, and perhaps I'm too exhausted to maybe say a call as loud as I want to say it, the safety, or repeat it, like, you know, helping me and stuff. So that's why I'm excited around these guys.
Yeah. That's awesome that y'all have each other's backs like that too. Yeah. Kind of like, hey, you know, hey, Grant said this, you know, let's go do this, you know, like that's awesome that you guys are developing that chemistry already, you know, and like already working on those things. But you know, you talked about it recently. You know, the Buccaneers have decided to play you at Mo backer in rookie minicamp. And then also they've been talking about, you know, carving a role out in special teams. You came out and said like, hey, I'm going to be a dominant special teams guy. You know, if that's what I'm doing, I'm going to go be dominant. I'm going to be one of the best special teams players, the best special teams player out there. You've had extensive time playing both a starting linebacker and playing special teams in Houston, but how does it compare now, you know, in practice for both roles in the NFL environment, playing Mo backer for the first time? I know you said recently, like, hey, I like it. You know, it's pretty good. So just kind of talk a little bit more about doing both those roles, Mo backer, you know, just, you know, Mo backer, linebacker, and special teams in the NFL environment.
Yeah. So I'll start with special teams.
Sure.
And what I have, like, there's so many, like, I had two of the best special teams coordinators in the whole in NCAA while I was at Houston, and James Casey, who went on to coach special teams for the Bengals, and Coach Blake Gideon, who is now at the University of Texas. And, you know, we led the country in punt and all this stuff. So I learned a lot of techniques in college that, you know, most people just run down the field and go hit somebody. But there's a lot of techniques and stuff that I learned in college that I'm finding when I get to the next level and I'm looking for some more techniques, it's the same techniques. So it just, you know, gives me assuredness in my game, gives me assuredness like, okay, I just have to do exactly what I did in college here. It's going to be a little harder, people a little faster, a little stronger. But I can see it. You know, there's some guys who don't take it as serious when I'm watching the film. I can just tell, like, oh, he's not doing his best to block or something like that. Like, if you're not doing your absolute best against me, like, there's no way you're going to win.
Right.
So, you know, I just think that technique is a lot more serious in the NFL, because you can't afford to make that misstep or something like that, because there's a guy on the opposite side doing absolutely everything he can to block that punt or something, you know? So just learning that there's more to it than just running and hitting. there's a lot of, okay, like, can I trust you? Are you going to block your guy? Are you going to make the right call? Like, that's a really big part of, I think, the difference. Because, you know, in college, like, our punter will, like, roll to the right and, like, rugby punt, like, none of that, you know, block your dude.
Yeah, I feel you. And, you know, that's honestly, a lot of people overlook that, you know, the nuances of special teams and, like, really the mental game that goes into it, you know, of like, hey, everybody's got to do their jobs, even on something that may seem as insignificant. It's not, you know, but in casual people's eyes, you know, it's like, oh, it's just special teams. What's the big deal? But it's a legitimate thing, man. It's 1/3 of the game.
Yeah, and I mean, I had to ask myself, you know, because I studied a lot of special teamers before the draft, trying to figure out, you know, how to have that leg up going in. And what I was realizing is that all these people that were token special teamers are guys that are stretching out their NFL careers on teams. Was like, these are not the most athletic guys. These are not even the fastest guys, like the biggest guys. What always stood apart from them was their like character. And I just was like, okay, well, there's guys who have less years on their belt that are cheaper, that are probably going to run down the field and make a more athletic play than Slater from the Patriots, you know? But he's consistent. He's relentless. He's a leader in the locker room. He's dependable. Looking at all these, you know, we had some meetings about, you know, some the statistics in the NFL in regards to arrests and DUIs and stuff like that. Like, that's something you have to worry about now, I guess. You can pay somebody all this money and they get DUI. Like, so having guys that you can be confident about, you know, and that's what I was just realizing. And talking with Giovanni Bernard in camp, you know, he was telling us about that, just like being the right type of guy, giving the team a reason to keep you around, character-wise, locker room-wise. If they know you can do the job and you're dependable, I mean, why fire you, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, it's exactly what you said. Like, not just being dependable on the field, but like off the field too. You know, like in all aspects of on the field, off the field, of the game in general. You know, you got to be that guy where it's like, I'm going to be here, I'm going to do what I need to do, and I'm also going to do what I need to do off the field too. You know what I mean? Yeah, so that's awesome, man. But, you know, you just talked about how you watched some film on some special teamers, Matthew Slater, some of those other guys who have been, you know, long tenured special teams players. Talk a little bit about that linebacker position, playing Mo backer, and how you like that.
Yeah. So same thing. So whenever I got moved to linebacker in college, it's kind of sudden. My position coach, Coach Gideon, when I played nickel and safety, and he left. He left and went to Ole Miss, and now he's at Texas. But so my coach was gone, and then my defensive coordinator switched my position to linebacker. I was happy about it at first, but I knew I had to get surgery right after that junior season, and I was going to miss spring ball. So, like, my first live reps, like, of playing linebacker was my first game against Tulane this year, or 2020.
Yeah.
So all of my learning, like, my coach taught me the defense. I knew the defense. I knew my job, my responsibility. But as far as, like, how to do it with my body, what to do with my hands, my feet, my eyes, my hips, all that type of stuff, I had to watch film to figure out how to do it. And so I watched a lot of film on guys like Eric Kendricks, like Devin White. I watched mainly those two guys, trying to figure out, you know, how do I actually do this? And so realizing, watching film, there's a lot of stuff Devin does that I can't afford to do. Like, you know what I'm saying? If he's more so aggressive on something, he's very fast, you know? So, he maybe can make a misstep or something and catch up. I can't do that. So that's what I figured out, playing this Mo linebacker position. It definitely fits my skill set. I'm very grateful for the whole coaching staff, just, you know, because I'm a question asker, and nobody here has an issue with me asking questions. And sometimes I run into that, like, okay, relax, but you know, they're awesome. So yeah, I mean, it fits my strengths. They allow me to just, you know, run laterally in the run game, do what I like to do in the pass game, and get in the zone and you know, flow with the quarterback and jump a route and stuff like that. You know, man covering tight ends and running backs, never leaving me like on an island or anything like that. I got help, you know, so it's a very friendly position, I like to say, but if you're not fast, I don't think you can play it. And if you don't have a motor, so that's what I realized, and that's why they have the guys that they have. because I mean they ask a lot. They ask a lot of those two backers, but I mean the D line and the schemes that we run and stuff just makes it easy on us as well in the run game. So yeah, I like being in a position where the run game necessarily can't get away from me. If you're playing on the edge or something like that, they just run away from you. But playing in the inside backer role, I like it because you can really, make all the tackles if you're doing what you're supposed to do and if you're giving all the effort you can. So just need to seize all the opportunities I get, and I feel like so far I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, I feel you, man. That's one thing that the Bucs coaching staff specifically has been, praised for, is like putting their guys in the best position to succeed. One of the reasons they just, won the Super Bowl last year, is putting their players in the best position to succeed, on defense, on offense. Todd Bowles has been getting a lot of praise. I just want to say real quick, you said it earlier. You learn the playbook in one day? That's phenomenal. I mean, that is wild, man. And then taking another look is, have they kind of thought about, playing a little bit of nickel or playing safety with this defense? Or has it just been purely like, hey, Grant, you're going to be learning linebacker here?
I don't really know. I know that for sure I'm playing linebacker. I know that they need depth at both positions. So I always learn if there's a position on the field that I think I can play, I want to learn what their responsibilities are so that I'm able to step in if, I'm needed to, or there's sometimes in college where, we're on the field and then there's 10 men on the field. Somebody's missing. There's a corner missing. So I can run out there and I play corner in college. I can't play corner in the NFL. No way. So I wouldn't do that. But for safety, I'm preparing myself to just be available to play whatever that I can. So
yeah. And for everybody watching too, Grant actually played a little bit of running back in college because of injuries and whatnot at Houston. So I'm just saying, we like to talk about, special trick plays on offense with some of the defensive guys. Grant, I'm just saying, you can get in there for a little bit of running back,
Yeah, I go block somebody too now.
That's what I'm saying, man. It'd be a good look, man. I mean, it'd be something to pay attention to. I'm not going to give away any secrets. I'm just saying,
Yeah. Appreciate it, yeah.
But, you already did talk about some of the linebackers that, and special teamers you've taken a look at on film, Devin White, Eric Kendricks, some of the special teamers, Matthew Slater. I imagine that a lot of that was in kind of that pre-draft process, right? Mm-hmm. So taking a deeper look at that pre-draft process, how were workouts, pro days, the combine, other factors during that process? Wow. In, obviously a pandemic type environment, that's tough, Yeah. And that's been something, obviously the past year and a half where everybody's been saying hey, it's really tough for these young guys coming into the league because, opportunities are, shrinking up with, the pandemic and everything, and even going to get a workout is tough. So how was that pre-draft process rather, with workouts, pro day, combine, just in general, but also especially in the pandemic type environment?
Actually, I have a YouTube channel, and on my YouTube channel, I documented all of this. So if anybody's curious, or if you're curious, you can check that.
I will have this linked, by the way, down in the pinned comment in the comments section. I will 1000% have that linked.
And this weekend, I should be putting out my the video from the day of the draft, when we got the call and everything. That whole process, it was a roller coaster for sure. I went into the whole process, anticipating myself to be drafted somewhere in the 5th round. Just from looking at drafts past, from knowing what type of 40 I was capable of running, knowing how I was going to do at the Senior Bowl, and all that confidence I had in just the future. I thought I was predicting everything was going to happen, just kind of crumbled during training one day. So I'm training one day, and I know at some point I'm going to have to get this surgery. I knew I was going to have to get it, but I definitely thought I could get it after this entire process.
Right.
Right after pro day, get my surgery, be ready for training camp. That was my goal.
Right.
And so I am doing my 40-yard dash training up at Exos in Frisco one of the best facilities you can go to for sure. And Brent Calloway was working with me, and there's something they were asking me to do in regards to sprinting. I just couldn't do it. Like my hip wouldn't let me, and it was like really sore the next day. So I was just like, okay, I'm just going to relax. I'm just going to do the Senior Bowl, and then I'm going to get surgery after the Senior Bowl, and I'm just not going to do a pro day. Right. And so I ended up still just like trying to stay in shape and working on my coverage stuff. And then I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and do the sprint workouts without doing that thing I can't do. And just to keep my conditioning up. And so if you're not using the right technique and stuff, then I pulled my hamstring during training. And I pulled it like it was grade 2 pull. It was 10 days before the Senior Bowl. And it was like I couldn't do anything. And they told me like 2 weeks you'll be fine. Okay, Senior Bowl, 10 days. So rehabbed that, was like at 80%. A couple of days before the Senior Bowl, they said, okay, look, we're gonna try it out, see how you feel. We're gonna do a couple exercises. We're gonna run around and stuff. I was running around, all the type of stuff. I pulled it again. So 2 days before Senior Bowl, I pulled it again. And I'm not like a hamstring guy. I never had a hamstring issue. It was just like, oh my gosh, what is going on? It's the worst timing. And so I was just like, okay, look, I'm gonna go to the Senior Bowl. Hopefully I just will be able to do something. And so I went to the Senior Bowl, and it was very difficult. Like the day before the first practice, you had like your first meetings with all the NFL teams. I had to tell all the teams like, well, yeah, I'm about to get this surgery, and I had this surgery, and then I got a hamstring. It just made me so like, okay, and you're not even 6 foot tall. Like, no, we're good. So ended up being okay. I didn't do one-on-ones the first day because I knew I couldn't sprint, but it ended up being all right. I was able to move in the box and show them I can, tackle in the run game, which is, I think, what they were concerned about with my size and getting off blocks and all that stuff. And so Senior Bowl, really getting on special teams. I feel like I had a good impression there. Didn't run I had a surgery, so I didn't run at pro day, anything like that. I did my bench press. I ended up raising $5,300 for sex trafficking, which was awesome, or against sex trafficking, sorry, which was awesome. So it was a good experience. And, during that whole process, I was meeting with a lot of teams. Never met with the Buccaneers a single time. Met with, some teams of like 7 times, some teams 5 times. There's teams I was just like, there's no way they're going to let this draft happen and they don't grab me. Right. And so there was a lot of teams who jokingly told me, like, just tell teams like not to pick you so that we're able to get you. Like, there was teams I was glad that there were some teams that were transparent with me. They were like, hey, we only have 3 picks in the draft. We're just going to offer you a free agent deal at the end of the draft, but we're going to match whatever deal, whatever is like, you're probably going to get drafted, but if you don't, like, we want you because we only have 3 picks and we're not going to pick a linebacker with those picks. So I'm like, okay, like those teams were cool, but there were some teams that like made me feel like they were going to draft me and they didn't. So, day of the draft or day 3 of the draft, all these teams called me in the morning, and during the draft, I'm like looking at certain teams. One of the teams had 3 picks in the 7th round. So I'm like, there's no way I'm getting out of this round or the 7th round. So I'm telling teams in the 6th round, like, if y'all don't pick me here, I'm be gone, and my agent is too. And so just like watching the draft and being like, whoa, like long snapper, like what's going on? Like it was ridiculous, like it's a long snapper 6th round. Like, what are we doing? Like, right. So my lady took me in a room and she, prayed with me, calmed me down, and just told me like it's gonna be fine. And I made a free agent deal. I figured out where I wanted to go in free agency. There was a team that had been talking to me for a long time. They didn't have a pick in the 7th. They didn't pick any linebackers. Like, I knew what my role was going to be. I felt confident about making the team. Would have been the highest signing bonus in all of free agency. So I was like, yeah, let's do that. And I wasn't super excited about it because there was a vision I had with, having this type of home, this, having my siblings and all this type of stuff. And I didn't feel like that place was going to be really realistic. So just got surprised at the end of the draft when the Buccaneers called me and saw my name on the screen. It turns up, and I was just like excited to come learn behind, Levante and D White and just get to work.
Yeah, so kind of you just mentioned it, talking about getting drafted by the defending Super Bowl champions. So you had no idea that was going to happen.
I mean, they already drafted KJ, and I was excited for KJ. I was like, I played with KJ at the Senior Bowl, and I was like, oh, that's that. I was thinking, I never thought about the Buccaneers because I was like, okay, they don't need me. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would they get me? And so when they got KJ, I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, he's finna go learn behind like those two. Like, I was gonna call them after the draft and like talk to them and all type of stuff. And then for them to get me, I was like, oh, snap. Like immediately I'm like Googling like, okay, is Levante or is somebody gone? Did somebody get traded? Like, what's going on? So, I mean, I was so excited about it, man. And, Coach Arians has been my favorite coach for years. And I just thought it was like, I've told my friend, like when he was on the Cardinals, there's a guy named, by last name Buchanan, and playing linebacker for him on the Cardinals. And he was same size as me, and he was starting, he was making a whole bunch of plays. So being a high schooler, I was like, I saw that I could do it. Like there was somebody same size as me, smaller than me, starting at middle linebacker, and plays in the NFL. And so being that Coach Arians and his staff were okay with him playing there, even though he was small. Like back then, it was a little more unorthodox for smaller linebackers to be starting than it is now. 2013, 2014, whenever I saw him playing. I've always liked Coach Arians, and I was just hearing him talk to me on the phone. Like I had watched so much stuff about him and like his teams and his culture. Like I was just like, I already knew what he asked of his players. What culture he wants to have in his building. And I mean, that is something that I wanted so bad at the next level. Being in college, you have some guys that aren't really bought in. Like I talked about earlier, they feel like, oh, I have next year or something. And I was just hoping that at the NFL level, that I would be able to have the confidence in everybody on the team that, they were going to be bought into it and I could just maximize myself, you know what I'm saying? And I already know what BA is on, you know what I'm saying? So it made me really excited, man. Yeah.
And it's basically a match made in heaven, literally, in terms of the fit, the home fit, just everything, every aspect of it, and you were sitting there going, man, I'm really happy for KJ. He's going to learn from Levante and Devin White. That's going to be awesome. And then you're like, okay, I guess now I'm going to be learning from Levante and Devin White. All right. Sounds good. This is great. You talked about how there were a lot of teams interested in you in terms of both drafting and, free agent deals. Who were those teams that were saying like, hey, Grant, we're going to be thinking about drafting. You were like, hey, we might not be able to draft you, but we'd like to sign you to a deal. Kind of talk about some of those teams that were kind of looking at you in regards to that.
But yeah, man, it was, a team that I talked to Coach Izzo from the Seahawks, Larry Izzo. That was probably one of the coolest conversations I had during the draft process, just because he is quote unquote considered one of the best special teams players of all time. I knew that there were several special teams guru guys that were hitting me up during this whole time, and I knew that I wasn't going to go play for every one of them. Right. So I asked Coach Izzo all the questions I could, taking notes. I'm asking Coach Judge from the Giants all the questions I can, taking notes, because I know they know what it takes to succeed at special teams. And they told me about, being fast, told me about being lean, told me about being smart. So I started, I knew I wasn't going to be at both of those places, but so I took advantage of all those conversations, trying to convince the Titans to come back in the draft and draft me because they didn't have any more picks left. And they said they were going to, but I think they figured I was going to be a free agent. There was no need to do that. There was a few teams like that. Tampa, Florida, I was turned up, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, Coach Bowles and all the players and Tom Brady. Literally, I'm just this is the best pick.
I'm feeling great right now,
Yeah. Bucs weren't playing. They weren't playing with them picks, Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, man. But you've talked about it a little bit, Grant, just kind of diving a little bit deeper into it. Besides the obvious options, you talked about Devin, you talked about Levante, Tom Brady's obviously a good guy to be playing with. Besides some of those guys, what are some of the players who you're thinking of like, man, I'm really excited to be playing with these guys, both on, let's say, offense and defense, and even special teams as well?
Antoine Winfield.
Okay.
Yeah, him and number 33.
I gotcha. Jordan Whitehead?
Yes. Winfield, because somebody I looked up to for a long time, from the same district, high school with me, played against him in high school, was the only player, I think, him and Patrick Carr, who played with us at Houston. He was the only player. Winfield was the only player that had like ever just like really just made me go, oh my goodness, like watching film. Right. Because he never missed a tackle. If he had the opportunity to boom somebody, he did. Yeah. He caught all his picks. He scored on punt return. He just was a complete player and somebody that I looked up to immediately. Being and he was all bought into to football. You know, he was doing everything he could. And so just even seeing and hearing about him, listening to some of the vets talk about him, the way he came in as a rookie, and pretty much just started running the show. I'm just excited to be around somebody like that, and learn from him, and also, you know, be considered a peer with somebody that I look up to, you know, that like that highly. But yeah, just him really, and Jordan Whitehead, just simply because of how he plays the game of football. Like I've never heard him speak. Like I don't like none of that. I don't know him as a person, but just watching him on tape, you know, he just gives everything he has, and you can trust him. And so being a linebacker, you want to be able to trust people behind you, because if you jump a route and you miss, you got to know that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And with them two back there, I mean, it's not a question, you know. So I'm excited with them. And I talked with Devin White a little bit, and you know, he's very wise. So I'm excited to just play with him, and looking at his energy also on the field. He came out there and watched us for OTAs for a little bit. But really, Levante David, that is, I mean, I'm being that I play the same position as him. And just watching him, all his movements are efficient and all his movements are purposeful. And you talk about speed, I'm watching film. Devin White is certainly the faster one. But they talk about Levante is very fast, and he is very fast. But like watching him move, he just is not wasting any movement. He's not wasting movement. He's being smart. He's calling out stuff that you can see it on tape. And so I'm eager to know his routine. I'm eager to know what he does to prepare himself. I'm eager to learn the certain techniques and man covers that allow him to be a better cover backer than everybody else, you know. So that is probably my number one. Like, I'm ready to just get behind him and just learn. In regards to Tom Brady, whatever Tom Brady's been doing up until this point, I just don't want to bother him. I still let him do whatever he does. Like, you know, I've had my little conversations with people. I wanted to, like, you know, Antonio Brown, talking to him, you know, had 2 words with GRANT, like, I'm cool. You know, Tom Brady, I just probably, what's up, Tom? You know, I don't want to throw off nothing Tom is doing. But eager to see his preparation, you know, because I've never really been around. I've never met somebody that I feel like gives as much of himself into this game as I do, or prepares himself for their job as much as I do. So looking to see, I'm really just excited to see him to do that, you know. So
yeah, have you heard of the Tb12 method for Tom?
No.
So what the Tb12 method is, I'm gonna have to get you a book. It's a book that Tom Brady had written, where it's like a lifestyle book, and it basically tells you what to eat, what to drink, you know, meditation, you know, how to sleeping environment, like what's the best environment to sleep in, you know, in terms of like air quality and all this other different types of stuff, like workouts and whatnot, like pliability and all these things, right? And he has this book written about it. It's called the Tb12 Method. I'm gonna have to get you a copy, because we actually did an experiment here on the channel where I spent a week on the Tb12 Method, you know, following the book right down to the letter in terms of guidelines and whatnot. And it was a really cool experience. And I've basically been spreading the word of Tom at this point, man. Just in terms of every time I get a chance to talk to a player, I go, hey, man, we should all look into this Tb12 method thing, you know?
Yes, yes.
To the point where I actually sent a book to Kyle Trask.
Oh yeah, I know. Hey, Kyle's gonna read it too. Hey, Kyle's gonna use his resources now for sure.
Oh yeah, man. So I'm gonna have to get a book sent to you. Next time I'm over there at $1 Place, I'm gonna get a book sent to you for the Tb12. Man, that'd be cool. But one thing that we've talked about a little bit. You talked about it earlier. Talk about your faith. And how it keeps you motivated in a football environment, and how it's helped you throughout this process of getting drafted, working your way through the NFL. I know you're a very religious guy. I think that's something we both share, and I really do appreciate that about your character and how you approach the game and whatnot. So kind of talk about how that you incorporate that just into this football environment.
Yeah. So, when you talk about incorporating, what I had to discover was that really, and I don't want to be like too aggressive if somebody's watching, but to really believe in the Bible, to really believe in the Lord, right? Because that's what I believe in. Right. It has to be a part of everything. Yeah. And there's nothing that you should be doing that couldn't be a part of that. Like if you're doing something that goes against that, or can't be, if God can't sit next to you and look at you and be cool with what you're doing, or be happy with what you're doing, to me, I just don't do that. So when it comes to football, the question for everything as well as football is just, how can I do this to honor the Lord? How can I do this in worship to the Lord? Because I'm so grateful to be out here doing this, and he provided me with this opportunity. And so really that is definitely another push for me to give everything that I have on the field. The Bible says to do everything that you take part in, to do with your full might, with everything that you have. And when you think about it, it doesn't say that, it explains it. It says basically this is the only life you have. There's nothing, there's no more that you can do in the grave. This is the only opportunity you get, and so it really just motivates me to you hear so many stories about people I did this and I hurt my ankle, or I didn't learn my plays. I knew a guy that went to the NFL and got kicked out because he couldn't learn his playbook. And honestly, when you get back from OTAs, if you're doing ice bath and recovering and all that, you don't get back until 7:00, and you got to wake up at 5 a.m. So do you take that 3 hours to eat dinner and kind of relax? Cause if you want 8 hours, you got to be asleep by what was that, 9? You know what I'm saying? So you have a couple hours, you still have to shower. I got hair, I got to brush it. You have to make a decision. What am I going to do? And it's a tough decision to say, I'm going to study my playbook, or I'm going to learn the plays for tomorrow. Even though we're going to learn them before practice, I'm going to learn them tonight, or I'm going to wake up an hour early, maybe get 7 hours. You know what I'm saying? That type of stuff is stuff that I feel is setting me apart right now. And that comes from my faith, you know what I'm saying? Seeing, reading the Bible and seeing the examples of people that had success, even in the history books, is they woke up early, they got to work immediately, they worked until the sun went down. It's right there. And so, when it comes to just talk about the Tb12 method, I'm sure that's great. But what I've found is any question to any problem, any answer to any question, or any solution to any problem is in the scripture. And I've really found that to be true. I found that to help me in my life. Whenever I decided to give, so I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. I'm sorry you asked me.
Hey, that's good, man. That's good.
Yeah. So for a long time, man, I grew up in the church. My grandfather's a pastor. Grandfather's a great guy. And I worship. I was a worship leader in the church my whole life. Played the drums, did all that stuff. Okay. And it was kind of just, I was part of a culture, you know what I'm saying? I was part of just like church culture. I didn't really have any belief of anything. I never had read the Bible. I just went to church every single Sunday, went to church, sometimes on Wednesday. And I just like actually didn't believe anything. And that's weird to say, but I know a lot of people like that. I said I believed. I had a cross on my face. I prayed for my team. Like, you would have thought I was straight. You know, it was just, I didn't really have belief and understanding of what God was about. I didn't know what he asked of us. I didn't know anything, you know? And so it got to a point to where I was in college and I was living a very worldly life. I was like deep in the trenches of the world. I had like, you know, a lot of stuff going on. I had hurt a lot of women. I made a lot of mistakes. Thankfully, I didn't get kicked out of the university. Almost did. But I had just really put myself in a hole. And I just had seen so many poor examples of how to live from some very close people to me. And I had realized I had become just like them or just like that person. And I felt helpless, felt like there's nothing I could do about it. You know, I had attempted suicide or attempted to attempt suicide, end up, you know, stopping. And I thought that maybe that was going to be like the rock bottom, but it still wasn't. And so one day when I finally did hit that point in my life where everything kept running empty, you know, I had so many holes in my heart that I was trying to fill with things like women, partying, attention, Instagram, likes, like football. You know, I was trying to fill all my holes up with worldly things, and it was never enough. You know, and so finally hit rock bottom, reached out to the Lord, told him I wanted him in my life, went to church the next morning. That was about 3 a.m. Went to church the next morning at a church called Get Rap that my cousin had been inviting me to for months. Went to the service, heard a great message. And up until this point, I had asked the Lord to please reveal himself to me in a way that I cannot deny him, you know, because I'm very skeptical. I feel like I'm so smart. I feel like I just know everything, right? And so I wanted him to reveal himself in my life in a way that I couldn't deny it, period, at all. God was real and he cares about me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I needed that. And so at that service that day, and there had been things that happened up until that, and I just kept ignoring them because I could find like, coincidence or something. But at that service that day, there was something that happened to me that it was like, there's absolutely no possible way that this dude just like magically knows all this. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so, to briefly talk about it, I was getting prayed for after service, went and wanted to, you know, join hands with somebody. And, you know, this person just looked at me in my face and just like pretty much said, God is telling me that you need to come back here, not this place, but you need to stay in his presence. He's telling me that he loves you, that he cares about you. And I'm like, you know, this is general stuff. But he was just saying, you know, he said that I was just like you. He said, Grant, I was just like you. I was in my car crying last night. I was in my car crying at 3 a.m. like you were last night. And whenever you had that feeling of loneliness and you reached out to the Lord, that's when your life began. Like, you know what I'm saying? He started saying all this specific stuff about my life. And whether somebody's listening that believes or doesn't believe, if you hear that, you're not, you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, all this stuff is true. He knew exactly what was going on in my life. He talked about how my back right tire of my car was flat. Like, I don't know this dude. You know what I'm saying? And just to find out months later, when I told somebody in the fellowship about it, they were like, oh yeah, no, Vinny, he's a prophet. Like, God speaks to him all the time, you know? So it was like, that was just like the very first, and I gave my life to the Lord. And after that, every single thing in my life started clicking. You know, I was a special teams player, never stepped on the field on defense. When I did, I messed up, didn't know what I was doing. Became a starter, started going crazy in football, met my wife shortly after. started getting in my word, reading my Bible, figuring out like, oh, this is actually how you're supposed to live if you believe in God, if you believe in Jesus. This is actually what you're supposed to be doing. Like being a Christian or being an American Christian, we get so like
complacent.
Yeah, or we just like want to watch the video and listen to the song. And I'm listening to Mike Todd. I love Mike Todd. But there's nothing like getting in the Lord's word and reading and seeing exactly what he has to say, and I mean, I was somebody who at one point I stopped believing in all of it before this. I stopped believing in all of it. And I actually changed all of my classes to religious studies major classes. So I wanted to figure out what the truth was. So I looked at the Bible and I made sure that its claims were correct and that the history behind it was correct and everything backed up. So, yeah, I mean, in regards to my faith, man, it literally is my life. It's the reason I play football. It's the reason I do anything. And obviously, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes all the time. Right. But it's the motivation for me to give everything to this life and give everything to the Lord because he gave so much for me, and he gave so much to me. There was, if the 3 years ago me were to hear me talking about this right now, he would look at me crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like if when you I'm sure there's an ex-girlfriend or a high school teammate that's probably like, oh, this dude is complete BS right now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, but God did all of that in me. And for me to say something like that to somebody who doesn't believe or that doesn't really understand, like, I'm not like making this up, right? Like God really did that in my life and God got me here. God told me I was going to be an NFL player when I wasn't even a starter in college. God told me I was going to get drafted on March 29th of 2021 through somebody else. I got the text messages to prove it. And I started to doubt it towards the end of the draft. You know what I'm saying? But everything God has told me has come true. Everything the Lord has given me, it's been a blessing. It's been amazing. So I just try to honor him in everything. That's, the reason I serve. That's the reason I try to do everything I do in the community. So I got a nonprofit organization coming out soon. It's dropping soon. Just got to do the paperwork and all that. I'm doing that right now. I think it's going to be called God's Timing. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the name I roll with. But yeah. That's
awesome, man. And like I relate so much to that. I think a lot of young guys do. You know what I mean? In terms of that kind of story of like, hey, I've made some mistakes. I've been there. You know what I mean? Or it's like, hey, I've made some mistakes. And you're at that breaking point, You're like really breaking down. You're like going through some stuff. I've been there. You've been there. A lot of young guys have been there. Like you said, like it's such a good motivation. It's such a good just thing to have in your life. You know what I mean? In terms of just looking at the word, and applying it to your life. I mean, it's so helpful in so many ways you don't even realize,
Yes. And what I realize is like, it's so much easier. Like if you're somebody who is, cause I was like this, right? I was a pretender. I pretended to be this. I would pray with people when they were going through something because they looked at me as like this like religious role model or something. But I had never read the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Like I lived a worldly life like terrible. I would lie to people, manipulate people. I would convince people into feeling bad for me when I hurt them or something, like that's the type of guy I was. But once but I was trying to pretend to be, I was doing both of those things. And once you put yourself holistically, wholeheartedly into one thing, no matter what it is, your life becomes so much easier because that is who you are now. You have decided this is where I'm going. There's stuff that's happened in my family. There are generational things that my family just does, and at some point you got to put a stick in the ground, put your sword in the ground, like, nah, it stops here with me. And this is where I'm going to go, and regardless if it's your faith, if it's playing a sport, if it's at your job, whatever it is, it's like, this is the type of person I'm going to be. It's the type of boss I'm going to be. This type of employee I'm going to be. It's the type of husband I'm going to be. I'm going to be this guy, and figuring out how to do it and doing your best, and that's That's the same thing with your relationship with Christ, I believe. But it's simple, and that's what I love about it. Like, God is this big, complex thing, and I'm glad that he's complex, and I'm glad he's doing everything that he's doing. But our role is simple. It's just to follow him and give him everything. Like, that's it.
Yeah. And
if you're doing anything else, it's gonna be tough.
I agree 100%, man. I really do, and I'm happy we got to talk about this topic. You know what I mean? Because that's awesome that you have that openness to say, hey, let's, like I talked about at the beginning of this question, like, hey, let's talk about this. You're very open with it, and that's something I really do appreciate. I'm sure a lot of other people do appreciate that as well. And it's just awesome to hear your story in regards to that. I was going to ask you a question about, like, what's your story? You know what I mean? Your journey up until this point. I feel like you've talked a lot about that already, in terms of your story about how you've gotten here. You know what I mean? And it's an awesome, rewarding kind of story. You know what I mean? In terms of, like, yeah, I've had my struggles, but now through my faith, I'm here, and that's the best kind of story in my opinion.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
And that's just awesome. When's the Head and Shoulders deal coming, Grant? And have you reached out to Troy Polamalu?
Yeah, so Troy P is actually my favorite player ever. So hopefully at some point I get to speak with him. I haven't, I want to be like a reputable NFL player before I talk to him. Right. Have my years under me or something. So I have some significance when I speak to him. Right. But yeah, man, I love that guy. I'm sorry you brought him up. But in regards to Head and Shoulders, man, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I don't like their product. Yeah. So the type of guy I am, I'm very it's very tough. There has been products reach out to me like, hey, we want to work with you, this and that. Or my agent will bring up a product to me and be like, look, I'm pretty sure these people will work with you. I'm just I just don't believe in them. I'm not going to work with them. And I mean, there's been some money offers, some product deals offered. I'm just sorry, so, trying to get something going with Garnier, because that's really who I mess with. Garnier, that's my hair. Or one of these coconut oil brands, Cantu, something like that. So, hopefully it's gonna come. The field work got to come soon. But I'm upset about the Head and Shoulders choices. Like you went from Troy P to Pat Mahomes, who got a little bit of hair. Just was right. There's so many players in the league. There's players on my team.
Right.
But.
That's right. So you'll be the next generation, Grant, just different products, basically.
Yes.
I got you. I'm ready for it to blow up, man. I really am. Because the hair is phenomenal. We all know this, Yeah,
appreciate it.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I mean, really, any product would love to have that hair as a spokesperson.
Yeah,
absolutely. But Grant, second to last question I have here is, are there any personal goals that you have coming into your rookie season right now, in terms of, just personal goals, anything you want to accomplish here in your rookie year?
I want to become important to the organization. When you hear Levante or Mike Evans talk about Tom Brady, and the culture shift that is involved with him, and the added demand that everybody feels being on a team with him. And it's nothing more than just doing your job, playing your role, just doing it efficiently and giving your best. I want to become important in that sense, to where if I were to be eliminated from the team, there would be less to offer from the Buccaneers, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That is just my goals. I want to add value and become important to the organization. And personally, I want to make sure I'm always doing my job, always doing my best. And I really think I have the capability to be the best special teams player in the NFL this year. So I want to do that. That's one of my goals, is, to lead in tackles and special teams, and to help this unit be the best special teams unit, and from just looking at the special team stuff, there's a lot of guys that come in and interchange and stuff like that. But I want to be like that captain guy, like that's real serious. I know everybody's job. I've already been playing multiple special teams positions, so that's my goal immediately this first year. Of course, I want to have a role on defense and stuff like that, but I know I can add a lot of value special teams wise right now, and I can add value on defense whenever they need me to, so I'm just learning there, but I know I can be dominant special teams right now. So
yeah, I got you. Second to last question. I misspoke a second ago, but taking a look outside of football, you talked about your faith and how that's a passion for you. Of course it is. But outside of that and outside of football, what other passions or talents, I guess, rather, hidden talents, maybe, whatever it may be, do you have in your life that would be, kind of something out there for fans of the channel, just Bucs fans in general, to be like, all right, that's pretty cool.
Okay, yeah, I'm into the crypto space. I'm on the safe moon. I'm on the safe moon right now. I believe in safe moon. I didn't really do no other really research on other cryptos. I don't believe in them. But other than that, I love anime. I would just sit here and watch anime forever. I'm on Naruto right now. Something I haven't watched my whole life, which is it's like a core anime. So I'm watching it right now. I sing or I worship really. And I love movies. My wife was a cheerleader at UH, so we got that going for us. And track is probably my first love in the sports game, probably track.
I got you. Yeah. Favorite movie?
That is a tough one. Movies are not long enough for me. I'm more of a show guy.
Okay, favorite show?
Theatrical show, like a Game of Thrones.
Okay, I got you.
Like a Lost.
Yeah.
Right? Something deep, plotty, something like character development. Love it.
Yeah. Like a Breaking Bad kind of deal, something along those lines.
Yeah. That's my mom's favorite show. Yeah.
I got you. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. The favorite music artist?
Right now, I probably listen to like 3 songs.
Okay.
But right now, I listen to the same song all day, just on repeat. And then 1 month, I'll just switch the song.
Right. Yeah.
A very simple guy. So right now, I'll probably listen to mainly Maverick City Music. They are a worship group. And I listen to Holby, who is a rapper. Holby is a Bible-believing rapper that raps about that and the lifestyle of that. I like him. He's cool.
Right on, man.
Yeah, and talking about Christian rap or rap in that space, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. A lot of it is corny, a lot of it is not good. So it's very tough finding something that is good. So I like Hovey because it sounds good and he's talking about the real stuff. So yeah.
I feel you, man. Say for everybody watching, I mean, we got anime, singing. I mean, great. You can do a lot of stuff.
I appreciate it. Yeah,
you got a lot of stuff going on, man. Singing, movies. Got everything going on, man. Yeah. That's awesome. That's freaking awesome, man.
Thanks, man.
But last question I got for you, Grant, is looking ahead. Okay, we're in the middle of OTAs right now, right? So looking ahead at camps, other off-season activities, preseason, regular season, what should Buccaneers fans and NFL fans expect from Grant Steward moving forward?
To answer that question, what should you guys expect from me? What should everybody expect from me?
Yeah.
They should expect everything that I possibly have, because that is what I give to the game. That is what I give every day. As soon as I get off this conversation, I'm gonna watch some film, watch my plays, learn my plays, and other people are probably going home for Memorial Weekend. It's just I'm giving everything I have. So when I look back at this, if I'm in the 6 Super Bowls that I'm participating in and I drop a pick or something, nobody can blow my phone up saying I suck, because I know I did my best to prepare for that pick and I just dropped it. So that's how I feel about it. That's how I want to leave the game. And yeah, man, they're gonna get everything out of me, bro. Everything I have. Oh, I have. Yeah.
And I'm not saying this for bias or anything like that. Like, I couldn't agree more. Like, just from talking to you now, man, for the past hour, like, you literally sound like one of the most hardworking dudes I've ever seen, if not the most hardworking guy I've ever seen in my entire life, or talked to in my entire life. I mean, and that's phenomenal. So I can vouch that, yeah, for anybody watching this video, for anybody who's going to watch Grant here in this upcoming season, like, you're getting a dude who's going to give it his all.
Yeah, like,
1,000%.
Yeah. Like, if you see me do something, if I miss a tackle, I do my best to make that tackle.
Exactly.
Like, my absolute best. Like, there's nothing I could have done.
Exactly. So, Grant, hey, I thank you so much for being on here. As long as you were, you know, you did not have to give me this much of your time, and I am so appreciative that you did do that. I mean, that means the world to me, man. So I appreciate that. For everybody watching this video, let us know your thoughts about everything we talked about down in the comments section below. Go subscribe to Grant's YouTube channel. Go follow Grant on his social medias. I will have all of that linked in the pinned comment in the comment section down below. Grant, whenever you do get that nonprofit organization up and running, let me know. I will gladly promote it on the community tab here on the YouTube channel. And yeah, do you have any final words here before we go ahead and head off, Grant?
I don't, man. Seek the kingdom, seek the Lord, man. That's all I got.
I got you. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed, and we will see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs. See you guys soon.